Hello, my name is Nate, and I'm going to be leading this class at the Shanti Yoga Center today. Hopefully we get some attendance on the live feed here, and it's definitely my pleasure to be leading you in this session. So let's just start off with taking some deep breaths here, and we'll be stretching out our fingers and forearms. You can press back on the thumbs, and press down on the fingers. Press back on them, roll out the wrists, switch directions, and then bring an arm across, and switch. Behind the head. Switch. Good, and bring the arms behind, lean back. And then lift up the hips. And press the hips side to side. Come down, reach forward. Over the left side. And to the right. Come up. Right hand to left knee, breathe in tall, breathe out twisting. Come around. Good, come back, roll out the shoulders. Switch directions. And we'll stretch out the neck. Maybe you can bring your arms behind. Coming through the front. Maybe lift the hands. Stand up. Coming to the front of the mat, close the eyes, stand as tall as you can. You can bring the hands to the chest and center your mind on the breathing here. Really get in tune with your Ujjayi breath. So that Ujjayi breathing, in case you're unfamiliar, you want to engage in the back of the throat, and we're going to be restricting the airway by tightening a valve. It's called the glottis, and by restricting the airway you're going to have more control of your breath. You're going to stabilize the breathing and slow it down, and hopefully we're also going to be incorporating the core, because we're going to have to push the air through and actually pull it in as well. You can continue to engage in the back of the throat, and by using this style of breathing we get benefits as well in the core by having to engage to push that air and pull it in. As well, we want to think about getting the maximum capacity of the lungs here. So really take in a full breath and then push it out at the bottom. Maximum breathing. Set the dedication now to maintain this breathing throughout the practice. You want to just be nasal breathing throughout the practice. And if we can maintain good, proper breathing throughout the practice, that is an absolutely successful practice already. If there's certain poses you don't want to do today, no problem. If you don't get into the version of the pose that seems best to you, no problem. If you can maintain proper breathing, that is number one priority. Nothing else even comes as a close second. So from here, we're going to start off with our salutes to the sun. So breathing in, arms up. Breathe out, reach down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Good, you can wave the hips side to side. You might step off your mat. You might move into plank for a while and move around there, moving the hips around. See what feels good, pedaling the feet. You might come way up onto the toes for a moment. Just seeing how downward dog feels today, listening to the body. With a breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Breathing in, arms up. Breathe out, reach down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Once again, feel free to move around here, still loosening up the downward dog. Finding your deep breaths here. With a breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Breathing in, arms up. Breathe out, reach down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Good, this time we're going to drop the left knee down. We're going to open up to the side. This is side plank. There's a number of variations. You can stay here, or if you want, you can extend that leg. Another option with the leg down, you can also try lifting the right leg. Another option would be to extend both legs, and maybe you still want to try lifting the right leg. Any of those are fine. And switch. Downward dog. With the breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Breathing in, mini back bend this time. Breathe out, reach down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing up to downward dog. Right foot forward, breathing into warrior one. And then follow your breathing, coming down with the breath out. Breathing into upward dog. Breathing out to downward dog. Left foot forward, warrior one. And then follow your breathing. You can go at your own pace here. Breathe out. Once again, getting comfortable in downward dog. We're maybe getting a little deeper into it now. Strong hands, gripping the mat with the whole hand. Try to spread your weight out evenly. Shoulder blades together and down the spine. Lift the tailbone, drop the heels, spread the toes. Let the breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Mini back one with the breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathe up, downward dog. Right foot forward, warrior one. Follow your breathing. Left foot when ready. So as we're moving through our warrior ones and vinyasa there, definitely feel free to slow it down or pick it up and try to align those movements with your breath. If it doesn't work, no problem. It's just a goal. Good. With the breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Breathing in, mini back bend. Breathe out, come down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Right foot forward, warrior one. And at your own pace, moving through. Left foot, when you're ready. Very good. And from here, let's bring the right foot forward, right into warrior two. Gaze is over the right hand, middle finger. We're reaching back with the left hand, and we're bending that front leg. So as much as you bend that front knee, you also want to be thinking about reaching back with the left hand. Let the left hand down, reach the right arm back. Recline warrior. Gazing out to the tips of the fingers of the right hand. And then warrior three. We're picking up that left foot. And you can even touch your toe down if you prefer. But as you're getting more comfortable, you're going to lift that leg up. You can also try to get your arms next to your ears. And then leaning into this pose, lifting that leg to whatever extent you're comfortable. First, we're finding the balance in this pose, then we're making that engagement in the back and shoulders, and eventually we find the stretch in the right leg. And we're going to come all the way down for an upward dog. And back to downward dog. Left foot forward, warrior two. Gazes over that right hand middle finger, or sorry, left hand middle finger here. drop the right hand down, reach the left hand back. Good, warrior 3. Keep using the deep ujjayi. And then we'll come all the way down. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Very good, we should be warmed up. And now we're gonna drop the knees down. We're gonna go into a cat and cow. Breathing out as you arch the spine up for cat, and then breathing in as you drop it down for cow. Back and forth, follow your breathing. Breathing out to cat, breathing into cow. Bigger breaths, slow it down. And then spiraling cat-cow. Push the hips to one side, head to the other. Big circles. Making the spine like a corkscrew here. Switch directions. Very good. And from here, we're going to lift the left leg and the right arm. You can also do it from the foot if you prefer. And then switch. Downward dog. Good, we're going to bring the left leg up into the air, hang it over a bit, draw that knee up towards the forehead, hold it up, and back, towards the left elbow, and back, towards the right elbow, and back. We'll do one more round if you'd like. Bring it towards the forehead, hold it up, and then back. Towards the left elbow, and back, towards the right elbow, and back. Draw that knee forward and then lay it down. Pigeon pose now. You can keep your foot back like this if you prefer. You can start working it up towards the mat as you want more stretch in the left hip. And then the next thing you're working on is trying to draw your hips evenly over the mat. So the tendency for a lot of people when they first get into this pose is to fall onto the left hip. And if that's where you want to start, that's fine. You're just working towards leaning into this stretch. The more you even the hips out, you're going to feel it in the left hip. Take deep breaths here. And this is a really great pose to just let your mind be entirely into that left hip and also just relaxing the whole body, using your weight to deepen the stretch using your deep breaths to help relax the whole body. This is a nice pose for visualization as well. You can visualize as you breathe in, drawing in the nutrients and drawing in the oxygen to help replenish those muscles that are being used. And as you breathe out, you can visualize releasing the toxins, releasing the stress. Or you can visualize the whole body liquefying and just sinking down into the mat here. Maintain there, or if you're interested, you can work towards king pigeon by lifting up the right foot. Anywhere along this path is fine. And then release. We're coming back into downward dog. Good, bring the left leg up, hang it over, and draw that knee up, or sorry, I have the right leg. Draw that knee up towards the floor, hold it up, and kick it back. Towards the right elbow, and back, and left elbow, back, towards the forehead, and back, towards the right elbow, and back, towards the left elbow, and back. Draw it forward and lay it down. Once again, working your way into that pigeon pose, deep breaths, slowly sinking down. I sometimes like to use my elbow if it's available. You can place it into the foot and help staple that foot into the mat. Really hold it down. Deep breaths. In a relaxing pose like this, it can be easy to lose your ujjayi, but try to keep that going still. Good. And stay there, or you can work towards king pigeon. And then downward dog. Good. With the breath in, come forward. Breathe out. Breathing up. Breathe out. Feet shoulder width apart. Bring your arms up. And lock your arms in place here. Nice strong back, strong shoulders. And the goal for this pose will mostly be strengthening. So we're going to be keeping strong arms and back. So keep the shoulders, arms next to the ears. As you lean forward, keep the sternum lifted. We don't want to round the spine. And then also you're thinking about just hinging at the hips. Coming down for 10 breaths. So that's 3 already. 5, 7, 9, 9, on the way up for 10. 3, 5, 7, 9, and release. And you can twist it out, shake it out. Probably got a pretty good burn going on in the shoulders and maybe the back as well. Just let it all loose. Good. Now we're going to bring the arms up once more. This time let the arms come down and think about maintaining shoulder blades back and together and a nice wide chest, but completely relax the arms. Let them just dangle as you once again really focus on keeping a straight spine but hinging at the hips. So we're going to find that stretch very early on in the hamstrings and calves, but because we're keeping such a nice proper spine as we go down, so you really want to maximize that stretch. This way we're strengthening and we're stretching at the same time. It's a good balance, and we're focusing that stretch where we want it. Once you've maximized the stretch, feel free to release the whole upper body. And sway it side to side here. You can pedal your feet, you can lift the fronts of the feet. Maybe you want to slide hands underneath the feet. Deep breaths. We're going to grab the elbows now. We're going to hang out to the right side with the breath in, come up. Breathing out, dropping down the other side. And then again, coming up with the breath in, breathing out down the other side. That's a windmill. We got one more. And then we're going to go 3 times the other way. And then we'll meet at the top. And then release. Step the right foot back. Extend the arms out. We're going to reach forward with that left hand. For triangle pose, reach forward, reach, and then let the left hand onto the leg. Open yourself up towards the ceiling and really focus on trying to keep the right shoulder above the left leg here. So the whole body should be on one plane, all lined up, and like as if 2 panes of glass were pressing you together. You can also even look up towards the right hand thumb if your neck feels good. So once you've got the whole body on one plane here, you're pressing the hips forward and drawing the chest back. Then you can also maybe let the left hand slide down a bit. You might also use the left hand to twist the body towards the ceiling. Left knee bends, push off that leg, and then switch your hips towards the back now. Reaching with the right hand. Reach, and then drop it down. Open yourself up. So there's a tendency in this pose, a lot of times people will let their hip roll over and then they can go way further down and that might feel good. But the goal of this pose is really to get that side body stretch. So if we can keep our hip open and push those hips forward and draw the chest back, you're going to feel the side body stretch much more here. Good. We're going to bend the right knee, push off that leg, and switch your hips towards the back now. Right hand is on the hip, left hand comes up, breathing in, reaching high, breathing out, reaching towards the back. Place that hand anywhere on the leg, long spine. Breathe in. Breathe out, twisting. Reverse triangle. So in this pose, if you're working to get a little deeper into this pose, you can also try to look up towards your right hand thumb if it's working for you. Another great thing to do here is to use your root and abdominal lock. The root lock is that area right between the front and back privates. If you can engage there, as well as pulling in the lower abdomen, it can really help to stabilize poses. And for twisting poses, it creates more room for the twist. Right knee bends. Push off that leg. Left hand up and over. Switching the feet. Left hand is on the hip. Right hand comes up. Breathe in, reach high. Breathe out, reach forward. Placing that hand on leg, long spine. Breathe out, twisting. Good. Left knee bends, push off that leg, right hand up and over. And then widen your stance here. Elbows back, breathe in, look up. Breathe out, come forward. Try to maintain a straight spine as you come forward. You might also try to let your heels get a little extra wide. And once you find a nice deep stretch here, let the arms come down and the whole upper body can relax. You can bring your hands to wherever you like them. You can also adjust the width of your stance to what feels best. Stretching to the right side. And to the left. And back down the middle. Good, come up. Meet the hands behind the back. You're going to interlace the fingers and then place them behind the back. You're lifting them away from the hips as you come forward. So we're finding that deep leg stretch again, but now we're also trying to involve the shoulders by lifting those hands away from the hips. You can try a little waving of the arms side to side, maybe up and down. You can also try maybe alternate knee bends and see how that feels for you. Feel free to play with this pose. Move around. And come up. And bring the feet together. Good. And from here, we're going to move into a tree pose. So you're going to lock your gaze somewhere in front of you. If you're on a squishy surface, it might be better if you find a hard surface if it's available. You can place the ankle to the heel, or so the heel to the ankle, or the foot to the calf muscle, or maybe above the knee. All good options. And then there's also, if you want to try placing it on the hip, whichever one is best for you. Once again, lock your gaze, stand as tall as you can. You can think about opening the opposite shoulder and the knee. Try to widen their distance. Good, and release. Shake it out. Switch it up. Good, and then release. Next we're gonna do dancer pose. So if you want to have something next to you, like a wall or a chair or anything, it can be helpful just to have that there in case of an emergency or if you're gonna fall. So you can try picking up a leg, and you don't need to do any more than this, but if you're comfortable, you're gonna start to extend that arm up. Try to lift the chest as you lean forward, kicking into that leg, and grab the inside of the foot back there. And then release. Shake it out. And then switch. And release. Shake it out. Good. Next, we're going to do a standing leg series. So for this one, you're going to bring one leg up. You can grab the shin. If you're comfortable, you can work your hand towards the heel. Eventually, you might grab the foot or even the big toe. This is called the yogic grip, using the middle and index finger, wrapping around the inside of the big toe. Stand as tall as you can. If you have the flexibility, you can also try extending that leg to some extent. And then we're going to continue this pose. You're going to try and bring that foot out to the side and look the opposite direction if you're comfortable with the balance. That knee can be bent. You can be holding it wherever you want. And then bring it back. The main focus of this pose is that standing leg. Or should be feeling some burning by now, I would imagine. And then you can try to get both hands anywhere on that leg. And then no hands. Bring the hands to the hips. Stand as tall as you can. Try flexing the foot. And I like to finish with a little kick. And drop it down. Then you gotta take care of that standing leg. It's probably got a lot of burning. We'll switch it up. Out to the side. Bring it back. Both hands anywhere on the leg. No hands. And kick. And then put it down, shake it out. That's a tough series. Now we're ready to get on the mat. So you can come to the front of the mat. Breathing in, arms up. Breathe out, reach down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, hands down, feet back. Upward dog. Breathing out, downward dog. Our last downward dog here. Try to give it all your energy. Strong hands, gripping the mat. Shoulder blades together, down the spine, lift the tailbone, drop the heels. Spread the toes. Gaze is between the knees or higher, maybe even towards the belly button. Feet are about shoulder width apart here. Good, we're gonna drop the knees down. And the elbows as well. You can interlace the fingers here, and then you want to try to place part of the head into the hands. If you're used to doing this pose, headstand, then you can also try from here if you're comfortable with your neck, with the hands about 5 to 6 inches away from the head. And then if you prefer though, I usually teach it this way, to grab the cradle of the head with the hands, and we can take some of the weight off the neck and
don't need to go into headstand by any means. If we come up onto the toes and walk forward, this might be more than enough for some of you. Whatever is your best position here, you can choose. If you're comfortable, you can try raising one leg up. Maybe even add little hops, engaging the core, but do it with control. Definitely be careful. You don't want to try to come up into headstand if you're feeling like you're wobbly a lot, or if you're flipping around. You can always do it with a wall behind you. That can be helpful when you're first learning the pose. It definitely takes a lot of core control, and also the flexibility is a big part of being able to get up into headstand. So I'm already almost completely up when I walk my foot forward, because I will really work on my hamstrings and calves. I can lift that foot. It takes almost no effort to jump up into headstand. Whew. There's lots of things you can learn once you're comfortable up here. And then we're going to drop down and we'll meet in child's pose. Knees wider than the chest, crawling the fingers forward. We want to go and meet here without popping up. So a lot of times when people do the headstand, they'll jump right up onto their haunches or on their knees, and you can get a head rush doing it that way. So it's just nice to take a moment to settle the blood, and then we'll stand up onto the knees. Place the hands on the hips. We're going into camel pose here. So leaning back, pushing the hips forward. This is plenty. If you want more, you can try using the one hand to reach back for a heel. Maybe both. And then push those hips forward. Deep breaths. Good, that's a big back bend. We're coming up now. And then we're going to release it with a rabbit pose. So we're drawing the knees together, heels together, sitting back to the heels, reaching back and grabbing the heels with the hands, and then drawing your forehead towards your knees. Try to keep your head off the mat, and you're trying to hold tight with the heels. And then as you're kicking the legs, as you're trying to drive the legs forward, you're going to also be pulling with the arms to drive the lower back up towards the ceiling and release the back bend we did with a big forward bend. Good, and then come up. We're going to have the feet wide, knees stay together. Using your hands as you start sitting back, and decide how much weight is okay for you as you sit back. If you're comfortable, you can release the hands. But here, you're going to be feeling this in the knees, maybe the tops of the ankles, maybe both. And what we're doing here, we're actually locking off all the blood supply in those joints. And that sounds awful, and this is not like a regular stretch. But in fact, what's going to happen is when we come out of this one, we're going to have lots of fresh blood rushing into those joints. So it can actually help to create blood flow in those areas that are generally getting less blood flow. In this pose as well, if you're comfortable, if you have your sit bones already on the mat, you can start leaning back with it as well. And then we'll come up and move the feet out to one side. And bring them out in front. And then you just want to massage the knees. You can roll out your ankles. Good, and then walk your sit bones away from each other. You can even use your hands to pull the flesh away. We're going to try once again to create the leading with the sternum and hinging at the hips, and that way we don't put any stress on the spine, and we get a stretch very early on as we're going forward. So often when people are trying to touch their toes or reach down, you'll see that they round their spine a bunch, and I can't even touch my toes from here. But as I work on putting the stretch where it's supposed to be into the legs, and I lift my sternum, then as I come forward, I'm already only here, but it's easy to touch my toes. And all the strain is going right into my hamstrings and calves, and that's exactly where I want them. It's great if you can flex your feet here, meaning drawing the toes back towards the body. I like to keep walking my sit bones apart as I come forward. That way I can hinge at the hips a little more effectively. And come up. Good. Hands are going to come just about 6 inches behind the seat, and then point the toes and lift the hips. I like to start off with a knee bend and then pushing off. This is reverse plank. And let yourself down slowly. Maybe find another shoulder stretch here. And then we're going to come right into a butterfly stretch. So bringing the feet in. And this pose is a great one for using some hand strength, arm strength, and core strength to help pull yourself into the pose. You can go a little side to side. I love to move deeply into the sides here, and you'll find the stretch moves around. Using the deep breaths. Use your ujjayi still. Eventually in butterfly, you can actually work on opening your feet up towards yourself. And I definitely recommend to try to find engagements in every stretch. So even in this pose, we're mostly trying to just relax the groin as we stretch forward, but also you can think about using your core and arms to help deepen the stretch. Good, and come up. Next, I like to just give myself a foot massage here. You can even dig in your fingernails or your knuckles into the arch of the foot to help some blood flow in the digestive system. And any of the areas of the foot are all connected throughout the body with our nerve endings here. You can press down on the toes and press back on them. Twist them maybe. And then switch. Good. And from there, we're going to bring the left leg in. The right leg can come next to it, or you can also have that leg extended. This is also just fine. Find the option that works best for you. You can have that foot next to it or over it. And then bring the opposite arm around the knee. So we have left arm around the right knee. Breathe in tall. Breathing out, twisting. Unwind all the way around, keeping the legs where they are. Now we're looking for a stretch in the left side body. Good, and then come back, switching the feet. Good, and then come back. And we're gonna go for a hip stretch here. You can place your feet just in front of you like this, or if you're comfortable, you can try placing the left foot onto the right knee, and then once you have that up there, you can just work on letting the other knee drop down towards the foot. And from here, you can also move around with the upper body. You might use your hands even to push off. Deepen those side body stretches, and all throughout the hip you're going to feel it. Use the deep breathing. Feel free to close the eyes. Just get in tune with your body here. Using deep breathing, moving around in the pose. It's so helpful if we can enjoy these stretches. Our first inclination might be that it hurts, but try to shift the mind and see how actually this is really beneficial, and at the end it's going to feel so good when you've moved your body in all these different ways, and it'll just relax. And come up. Switching the feet. Once again, moving around in this pose. Good, and then come up. We're going to go right into our boat pose here. So for this one, find a straight spine first, lifting the feet. You can extend your arms. You can even place your hands on the mat if you want. But as you're comfortable and you're looking for more of a stretch out of this, or more of an engagement with this, you're going to extend the legs. And then from here, there's all kinds of ways to play with this pose. You can move your legs wide, you can come down and move wide here. You can cross over. All of this pose is really working on lots of core. You definitely get some balance here too. Definitely believe that our core is our most valuable muscle. It does so much for us, for our posture, for our balance. And it's really great to do a big contraction to help to produce more core strength. So even if you just lean forward and try to lift, keep your feet off the mat and lean forward and do a little lift. Even if you don't come off the mat is no problem. Maybe if you only come off 10%, that's just fine. But that big effort, making that big effort occasionally, really good for building the core strength. When I first started doing this, that's about all I did. Just a little bit lean forward. And eventually, with practice, can work to moving through. And then we're going to lay down. Bring the feet up to the butt, push the hips up. Maybe grab your ankles. If that's not available, you can also try interlacing the fingers and pressing the hands into the mat. This is bridge. If you have wheel in your practice, you can also go for that. Placing the hands next to the head and then working into pushing up. And come down. Good, we're going right into happy baby here, grabbing the shins, ankles, or feet, rocking side to side, up and down. Left leg down, keep the right leg, stretch it out. finishing up here, try to engage the left, engage the left and right foot throughout the next 4 poses. Still using deep ujjayi. Right leg out to the side, looking the other way. And bringing it across the body. That knee can definitely bend as much as you like. And try to keep the right shoulder down here. Right foot on the left leg thigh. Draw it in. This is like an upside down pigeon pose. You can also just grab the foot if you prefer. And let it down. Left leg up. Let it up to the side, look the other way. Bring it across the body, look the other way. Left foot on the right leg thigh, draw it in. Let it down. And bring your hands onto the chest, make a fist, flex your hands, arms back, butt, legs, toes, face, everything flex. And then release, deep breath in. And then sigh. Shake out your body. Any last movements you want to do, you can do whatever you want right now. Try to lengthen the spine out. And then completely relax yourself here. This is corpse pose. At this point, you are entirely relaxed and just observing the natural breathing. You can observe the sensations that are going on in the body. And you can, of course, remain here. If you're ready to finish your practice, though, you can start wiggling fingers and toes. And you can bring some gratefulness into the mind here. Maybe recognizing someone from the week that I'm grateful for. And bringing a smile into the mind, maybe onto the eyes as well. And we'll come over to one side of the body. And then working your way into any seated posture. And then we'll finish our practice together with 3 Om. Breathing in deep.